Hey guys, what's going on? It is your boy, Mr. Tag. Today I'm going to be doing another tier list because I haven't done one of these for a while, and I thought, why not? I had an idea when I was driving around this morning, and I thought this would make some decent content. So basically, what we're doing here is the decks you see down the bottom. These decks have topped a big Edison event from 2024 until now. And basically, what we're going to do here is I'm going to be listing basically if I think these decks could actually win a big Edison event, because these decks have not won a big Edison event from 2024 until now. But I think there are some decks here that could feasibly win an event. I think there's some decks here which I'm very surprised even topped an event, let alone won an event. That's what we're going to be doing here. So these decks have all been taken from the edisonformat.com Discord. Some decks have more variations. So like, for example, you might see Rescue Cat down there, which there's like 10 different Rescue Cat decks. So they're going to be lumped sort of together when I talk about it, because I'm not going to put down Garden Cat, freaking Cats from 2022, Graveyard Cat, Zombie Cat, Meow Meow Cat, Boo Boo Cat, whatever you can think of. So when it comes to that, those decks are probably going to be like rated high just because there's so many different variations. And there's one here that you may not see, like Jinzo OTK is probably another one which should probably be on here, but that's more considered muck in a deck. So yeah, that's why it's not on here at the moment. But I think that deck could win an event at some capacity at some stage. All right, let's get into it because I'm yapping way too much. I'm already 2 minutes into the video. The first one we got here, Ancient Gears. Honestly, I think this basically, it needs more reps. So what does this mean? Basically, so for a deck to top generally, or even win, usually the decks that have lots of people playing it usually win an event, because it's more likely that deck will win because more people playing it. There's more likely people will top and then eventually win the deck, right? Win the event. There are some decks which I think if they only had one rep, they could still win that event. For example, if somehow Eric Shen was the only person playing Vayu Turbo at an event, I could still see Vayu Turbo winning because the deck is very consistent, very powerful, and Eric Shen is a really good player. Ancient Gears is obviously not as consistent as Vayu Turbo. I mean, it's certainly got big bombs it can drop, but I just think the deck can, it's just not as good. And if I only had one person playing it, it's very, very unlikely that person would win in a big event. But I think if there was a reasonable amount of people playing the deck, someone could probably, skate through and actually win the whole thing. That's why it needs more reps. So I think it could win. It just needs more people playing the deck at the big events. Next is Fairies. I think this could win an event in 2026. Easy. I don't think so much Recruiter Fairies because of deck Devastation Virus, which is why I think a lot of people have fallen off the deck. But Valhalla Fairies, I think, could take an event. Like if there was an event tomorrow and a few people took Valhalla Fairies, I think this deck could win. 100%. Big thing, Archfield Christia is a hell of a boss monster. If your boss monster can make it impossible for other people to summon most of their boss monsters, and your boss monster is 2800, and it can also make itself basically not be able to be, beat over by battle because it can get back honest, you've got the best boss monster in the format. And yet people have just gone, nah, we don't want to play this deck. And again, it's probably more so they're thinking of Recruiter Fairies because that deck does have a problem with deck Devastation Virus, and of course Vayu Turbo plays that, Black Wings can play that, two of the best decks in the format can play that, so I can see why people have fallen off it. But I think if enough people will play Valhalla Fairies in an event, it'll win, 100%. It could 100% take an event. Next is Black Salvo. This deck is really cool, but I don't think it's likely it'll ever win an RBT or another big Edison event. At least not in 2026. I think it still needs a bit more work done on it. It's a really cool deck. I'm really happy that it topped an event recently. And I think once a deck is topped, more people are willing to work on it and innovate with it and make it better. I think it's just too early for it to really be considered, that sort of event winning deck, you know. And it's also an unfortunate thing where Black Salvo brings back level 4, Synchro 7s in Edison format, kinda lacking outside of Black Rose specifically. If this was a couple of formats ago when Dark Strike Fighter was legal, this deck could win everything. You know, you summon Dark Strike Fighter, you FTK your opponent, we were all having a good fun time with that. But unfortunately, I just think the format's just not at that position, or, you know, where it could actually win an event. Win a big event, anyway. Our next one is Spellcasters. I think it's sort of the same thing. Secret Village of the Spellcasters is a hell of a spell. It's a hell of a field spell. Saying your opponent just can't play spell cards. You can't play, you know, one type of card entirely. That's crazy. Until you think about it and say a deck like Vayu Turbo only plays 6 or 7 spells. And really the only one that's, I mean, Allure's good, and Burial can, you know, let them kill you, but they can still do enough damage with just their normal players. So I don't see Spellcasters ever winning a big event, a big Edison event, at least again, for the next year at least. But it could still top because, again, crazy freaking card, right? It's Secret Village for Spellcasters. I mean, Kaiku's a spellcaster. You get some main deck Kaikus. You get you some really fun stuff. But I just don't think it's there yet. Dark Calling. I think this is another needs more reps sort of deck. Dark Calling, again, is a hell of a card. Gaia is a really, really cool, really, really strong. Just, your opponent's got Raikou set, and I summon my Gaia. Gaia gets flipped, no effect. You die now. Amazing, amazing deck. Amazing card. The deck can be bricky. It's either bricky if you play the turbo version, or it's too slow if you play that sort of control-y rock version that saw they like topped one event and then didn't do anything else after that. But I could see the deck winning an event. I just think it needs enough people playing it and then refining it just to make it better. This is Hero Beat. So this I think needs more reps. People have fallen off this deck with good reason. It's grindy, can be a bit slow. But I mean, sometimes you just need all those trap cards, you just grind out your opponent and you win. And Hero Beat players, I give you Fish Hero Beat. I give you this deck and you don't play it. And then you wonder why your deck still doesn't see much representation or doesn't seem to top enough events. Because you're not playing the best version of the deck. I'm just saying, it's right there. You want to start winning events? It's right there. And unfortunately, unless an RBET comes to Australia in 2026, I mean, I can't play in any big events. So someone else has to pick it up to do it. Again, I could see Hero Beat making a comeback if people are willing to put in the time and work and refine the deck, and not just play it as it was played, you know, in 2022 when it was actually feasibly doing well at events. You have to improve and refine and fix it with the meta to be able to actually take it somewhere. Gigavi is the same thing. Chess Prime's hell of a player, but they can't always be representing Gigavi's. The deck is also very bricky. That's just what happens when most of your deck is spell cards. Has a very bad spellcaster matchup, funnily enough. I mean, outside of your opponent destroying all 5 Exodia pieces in their opening hand, Gigavi's probably puts out the best turn 1 board there is. If they open well enough. It's basically unbreakable if they do that. I mean, hell of a deck. I think, again, it could feasibly win an event. It just needs more people playing it at said event because, again, inherently bricky. So you're just going to lose some games to itself, unfortunately. But if you have enough people playing it, if someone gets lucky enough, maybe you have some of your mirror matches and one person doesn't brick, one person bricks, you know. You just take it home like that. But it just needs more people playing the deck. Zombies, I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say zombies, some form of zombie deck is going to win an event in 2026. I think they were very close to winning one, recently? I think it was an online event. I'm pretty sure it's big enough to be considered a big Edison event. I think they got third place or second place. So they were close enough to winning just there and then. Because before that event, they had not topped since early 2024, which is crazy. There's so many good zombie cards. I mean, again, it's that looming threat of deck devastation virus, which hell of a card. It ruins a lot of decks. And yeah, if your opponent sees it, it's kind of, well, we lose this game, most likely. But in saying that, you can make your decks less, less likely to get hit by it. And also, they're not always going to see deck devastation virus. You can't always be scared of this one card that they can't search. Like, I mean, Vayu, they can get their combo out pretty quick. Armors, Greffers, just hard drawing what they need, Rotors, blah, blah. They can get that part done. But they have to just hard draw deck devastation virus. So it's not always going to happen. I mean, Zombies is definitely slower than some decks, 100%. But if you're fast enough, you can get the game won quick enough. You don't even have to worry about deck dev. So I think Zombies could also win a 2026 event. As X Sabers, I think I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket and say they'll win a 2026 event, but I think it's likely they could win one. I wouldn't be surprised if someone goes, hey, X Sabers won this big event. Because the deck is, obviously, we all know what it does. It can hand rip you to shreds and just kill you if they get the right combination of cards. But it can also outgrind you and then eventually just make that big push. Some hands are clunky, as is with any, non-tiered, out of basically, I mean, Vayu and Frogs, and I guess Blackwings maybe. But even Blackwings can have clunky hands if they're drawed and none of their stuff. Outside of those two decks, most decks do get clunky hands. And you just have to work your way around it. Just the X-Saber clunky hands are terrible. But I can see this deck winning an event. I'm still going to make that prediction. I'm not that fully invested in the deck to say it's going to, but I would not be surprised. Mucking a Gadget, I could see it winning. Yep, 100%. Horn of Heaven is a hell of a card. The mucking a portion of the deck is amazing. Mucking a Fortress is a hell of a boss monster. And just having this recurring advantage engine in the gadgets that just stop your opponent from summoning. Whoa. Insane. I think I have more faith this could win an event over something like Gig of Eyes or Ancient Gears or something like that. But I think more people need to play it, but if, say, only one or two people took this to an event, I can still see them winning the event. If that makes sense. I would not be surprised if they did. Because, hell of a deck. I think people underestimate it as well, which is unfortunate. This is Teledads. I think this needs more reps, honestly. It just needs more people representing it. Obviously, a deck focused around Dark Arm Dragon is going to be really good. Unfortunately, Dark Arm Dragon is at 1. But they also have other really good cards, like Power Well. It's a hell of a card. Some of these decks play Mind Master, which is a hell of a card, combined with Power Well. Get your Crebs in the grave, bring them all back, big synchro play, make that big push. It also lets you control your graveyard resources, kind of like how Vayu does for your Dark Arm Dragon. It's a good deck. I think it needs more work put into it, and more people need to play it at events for it to actually see it maybe win an event at some point. Quick Draw. I think it's likely Quick Draw could win an event in 2026. There's a lot of innovation happening with Quick Draw. There's so many variants. You've got the Marketing version, you've got the normal version, you've got a version focused mainly on plants, you've got the Amaryllis version, funnily enough, as well. You've got the, Plasma Turbo versions. There's so many different ways to play Quick Draw. And I think eventually one of those ways is going to win an event. It's surprising to me that it hasn't really been able to yet. I think maybe it's just fallen out of favor with people. So I think either people will play, like, if you've got new people coming to the format, they play, like, say, Blackwings, right? Or Frogs. You got people who used to play the format who might play Quick Draw, but they may also just come towards, say, playing Vayu Turbo or a Marketing deck. People have been leaving Quick Draw in the dust despite it being the deck that initially won the original Edison event, which is a shame. I like quick draw. I don't play quick draw, but I always love facing quick draw. Drill Warrior is a hell of a card. Titanial is a hell of a card. Titanial Stardust is an annoying field to break. That and a token is almost impossible. I think this deck can do a hell of a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if it won, but I just think we need more people refining it and working on it for it to get there. But if only a few people rocked up to an event with quick draw and one of them won, I would not be surprised. This is Disaster Dragons. I'm putting this in unlikely only because I think if someone was to take dragons to a big event, they're more likely to play Dragon Turbo because that's the deck that's actually won. Which may seem a bit counterintuitive when I said, oh, Machina Gadgets is really good when HRC Machina has, won events. You can just play that one. But I think Machina Gadget has enough going for it where it could actually win. Whereas I think Disaster Dragons, just falls off. And again, Dragon Turbo, again, while that deck loses to itself, it can also just wipe out your opponents fast enough. That deck needs more representation, by the way. If that deck does not win another event in 2026, I wouldn't be surprised because not enough people play it. But I think if people are going to play a Dragon deck, it's probably going to be Dragon Turbo and not Disaster Dragons, which is why I think it's unlikely this will win an event. Unlikely doesn't mean I don't think it would ever win. If someone won with Disaster Dragons, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. Rescue Cat, this goes in likely only because there's so many goddamn cat decks. One of them has to win at some point. Garden Cat, Monk Cat, and Zombie Cat. Yeah, like I said, any of the cat decks you can think of. One of them should win an event. I just couldn't tell you which one. And yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Nolaris, nah. This deck, I do not see winning an event. I wouldn't be surprised if it ever wins an event ever. Maybe 2027, 2029. If Edison is still going in the year of our Lord 2100, nah. I always joke, kind of, that I think this is the worst deck that has ever topped a big event. It either can't do what it needs to do, or it does what it wants to do, but it helps the opponent as well because it's filling up their graveyard with stuff. And the best version of this deck is just a worse version of Vayu Turbo. So why wouldn't you just play Vayu Turbo? This and Fish. Yeah. Actually, there's one more deck on here that I also don't think would ever win an event as well, but these decks kind of that sort of same problem. Nolaris has one problem where it actually can also help its opponent out. Fish have the problem where it's basically a one-trick pony deck. Turbo out Coelacanth, and you summon all your dudes, and you Armory OTK them. Problem is, it doesn't do that well enough, and unfortunately, it also now has a bad rep, where the person who topped with it, I can't remember their name, which is horrible, was showcased on like Fraser Smith's channel, and then they kind of, or unintentionally, I'm not going to say they intentionally did it, they unintentionally cheated with Fishborg, as far as I know, and used it to synchro with a non-water. It's kind of like, well, yeah, it's kind of giving the deck probably a little bad rep, and I just don't see it winning an event. There are decks which can obviously turbo out stuff better than Fish can, and that people are more likely to play or innovate with. I love Coelacanth. I built Coelacanth in 2023, and it was funny. It wasn't good, but it was funny. Make this stupid board, like 10 negates on it, whatever. It wasn't good, and that's with obviously consistency things as well. But if you're going to play Fish, like you might as well either play a deck like Gigavise or Dragon Turbo, or just play a frog deck, because the deck is half frogs anyway. This is the plant deck. This is a deck that does not focus on Amaryllis or Gigaplant. but focuses more on Titanial spam or maintaining a Titanial on board in some fashion. Because Titanial is really hard to out. Just in general. It's a really good card. It's easy to summon because of Lone Fire. I just put it in unlikely only because I think if you're playing a plant deck, you either play the deck that's one Amaryllis, you could play that. Or you could try Gigavice, which has, huge ceiling on it. And try and make that a better, more consistent deck. It just feels like this weird... I don't know. It was like, I don't want to play Amaryllis for whatever reason. Maybe it feels too bricky. I don't want to play Gigavice because it also feels bricky but in a different sense. So I want to play a slower version of both. Which can also brick but not as much. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I can still see it winning. Like I said, it's an unlikely. It's not in no. I'm not straight up saying, no, this will not win an event ever. I just think if people are going to an event, like a big event, and they're taking it really seriously, they're going to play Amaryllis or they're going to play Gigavice. I don't see enough people trying this deck out and making it what it could be to where it will be an event-winning deck. But again, I'm pretty sure it came like second or third. It's first ever, when it was first, it's the first time it was ever represented, which is amazing. But I just don't see it happening, at least in 2026. Chain Beat. If Norleris is not the worst deck that's ever topped, this is the worst deck that's ever topped. I think Wing Rhinos is a really cool card. And I think what it does is different. I just don't think it's good enough to ever win an event. Straight up. I haven't got much else to say about it. Obviously, I think it could take a locals. It could probably take a small-ish Edison event, maybe. But not a big one, no. And Volcanics, that Volcanic Garden sort of deck, I think is also unlikely. I think it does cool things, does unique things. It takes a fan favorite archetype and puts it at the forefront of the strategy. It's all that quick draw where it's like, if you're playing the Volcanic Shell version, you might play this to search your accelerator or something. It's actually the forefront of the strategy. It's really interesting for any control deck. I just think control decks, most of them, except for gadgets, I think are fast enough to also just kill you straight away. One point they're stopping your summon, and the next stage they're just OTKing you. I just don't think control decks, which generally don't have that sort of huge push, are going to succeed at future Edison sort of events. But again, if this won, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's not surprising. Well, it's kind of surprising, but I'm also not ruling it out entirely, if that makes sense. All right. I think I've rambled enough. I think this is where we wrap this up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys. I never say that in videos, but I'm saying it now. So please do that. What do you think, guys? Do you think this is fair? Do you think I've underrated some decks? Do you think I've overrated some decks? Do you think now Zombie's never going to win an event because Deck Devastation Virus is too good, or no one's ever going to win with a cat deck for whatever reason? Yeah. Do you think I was too harsh on Norleris? Maybe I am, but I've played enough of that deck. I know what it can do, what it can't do. It's bad matchups, and its bad matchups are at least Vayu Turbo is a terrible matchup, and Frogs are kind of a bad matchup as well for it. So anyway, I'm still going to start rambling now because that's what happens. I go onto a tangent, and then the video goes for way too long. Then no one watches it to the end, or they just skip to the end just to see what the tier list looks like. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.